As a worship leader, one of the most important parts of the week is band practice. Band practice is essential to crafting an excellent sounding worship set. It is a time for your group of musicians to feel each other out sonically, and for you as the leader to test some of the things you've been preparing in your heart for the weekend. Giving up one night a week to do this is part of the sacrifice of leading worship. Beyond rehearsing the music, band practice is a time for your musicians to get to know each other and to learn how each other play. I personally prefer to have band practice on a Thursday, and I try to send the set out no later than Tuesday morning. This gives my band at least a couple of days to prepare before rehearsal, and a couple of days to go over the rehearsed music before the weekend. I'm obsessed with preparation. It makes life so much easier. You need to set the standard that everyone comes prepared for rehearsal. That means listening to the songs, learning the parts, and memorizing as much of it as possible. Fortunately, YouTube has made learning worship songs extremely convenient. If you're doing well-known worship songs, and you should be, then finding a good tutorial is super easy. I expect everyone to come fully prepared to rehearsal for a few reasons. Most importantly, it shows me that they really value and understand the importance of leading people in worship and the elevated position that they've been given by doing so. If someone is not willing to set aside an hour or two a week to come prepared, then for me, that is a character issue. Yes, occasionally life gets in the way. I completely understand and sympathize with that. However, it needs to be the exception and not the rule. Everyone being prepared also saves time. Arriving at band practice unprepared basically tells me that you don't care about other people's time. If you are having to learn your parts during practice, then the other members of the band are just standing around as someone teaches you or you figure it out. It is inconsiderate. I know this sounds kind of harsh, but don't be that guy. Of course, you can only set this standard if you're willing to keep it. As a leader, you need to be more prepared than anyone else in the band. That will give you the equity to hold your bandmates to excellent standards. Most church musicians are volunteers, and we need to be respectful of the time that they sacrifice by serving the church. They're not only sacrificing their own time, but their families are paying that toll too. It is important that we try to be as punctual as possible. If band practice starts at 7 p.m., start at 7 p.m. I hate the concept of vineyard time or church time, etc. In my opinion, that just communicates that we don't care about other people's time. Starting band practice on time also ensures that it doesn't run too late and will hopefully give you plenty of time to iron out any creases. We are honoring our volunteers when we value their time by being punctual. It is also important to be punctual with your communication. Set a specific, consistent time every week to schedule the band and send out the set list. As I mentioned before, I like to do this no later than Tuesday morning. By being punctual with my communication, I am setting up my band for success by giving them ample time to prepare for band practice. It is impossible for me to hold them to an excellent standard if I'm also the one holding them back. Good communication will also give you plenty of time to find a backup for anyone that unavails themselves. The most efficient way to communicate during a band practice is by having one voice. It can be very confusing to have multiple people speaking up about song parts or trying to give another musician direction on what to play. I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to ask questions or voice an opinion, but for the most part, the majority of the communication during a band practice is made easier if it's one person's job to do that, especially if that same person has been giving thought to the big picture of the music all week. A musical director, or MD, is the person responsible for the musical aspects of the band. I would hazard a guess and say that for most churches, the worship leader also functions as the MD. However, I want to really challenge you by suggesting that if you're the worship leader, the person singing, you should give away that responsibility. Leading worship is hard enough without having to worry about what the rest of the band is doing. By figuring out a way to give away that responsibility to someone else, you will experience greater freedom in your leading. It allows you to focus on your primary job, leading people in worship. I know the thought of giving away musical control is making your eye twitch, but it's important to keep the main thing the main thing. Remember, you are not an artist, you are not on stage to express yourself musically. You are there to point people towards God. It is a blessing that we get to use music and creative expression in order to do that. An MD may sound like a luxury, but for a lot of churches, it is a necessity to take your band to the next level of sounding great. I would love to hear some of your thoughts on running band practice. What are some of your regular struggles? Is that good?
Yay!